They know the ups and downs and the entire journey that they would go through. But ours was very interesting. Since we work on the tech side, into the technology and the platform side, so we always have that excitement to come to office every day and keep working on and solving problems. We wanted to solve a lot of problems in and around the VR, AR space and the mixed reality space.
But I have seen the glimpses of it, whatever that was made available on the internet. And let me tell you, after looking at it, I was like, damn.
So we had all this like 16, 17 people in a conference room, and Srinath and I were like, how do we impress this crowd? Like Srinath said, we saw the potential of what virtual reality and augmented reality. When we started the project, literally
We never thought
that we could complete the project within the span that we were planning.
अगर आप किसी रियल एस्टेट डेवलपर या ब्रोकर से पूछेंगे कि क्या घर ऑनलाइन ट्रांजैक्शन में भी खरीदे जा सकते हैं केवल ऑनलाइन, नो फिजिकल प्रेजेंस, उनका जवाब होगा इम्पॉसिबल है बॉस। बट जिस टीम से आज हम मिलने जा रहे हैं, उन्होंने इस इम्पॉसिबल को पॉसिबल करके दिखाया है। शायद हम ये कहते हैं कि हमारी जिंदगी के सबसे बड़े इन्वेस्टमेंट होते हैं जब अपने घर खरीदते हैं। शायद कुछ लोग लकी होते हैं जिन्होंने ये चीज जिंदगी में 2 बार से ज्यादा किया। पर जब भी हम अपने घर खरीदने की तरफ अपनी मुहिम चालू करते हैं, हमें मालूम है कि उस घर के सपने को हमें जीना पसंद है, हमें उसको फिजिकली देखना पसंद है। पर इस टीम ने ये प्रूव किया कि बिना फिजिकल प्रेजेंस के भी घर बेचे जा सकते हैं। मैं ये नहीं कह रहा, ना शायद वो कह रहे हैं कि 100% जितने भी घर हैं ऑनलाइन बेचे जा सकते हैं, पर उनका कहना ये है कि जिन्होंने भी रियल एस्टेट को एज एन इन्वेस्टमेंट के फॉर्म में देखने की कोशिश की है, शायद उनको हम उनके घर के विजुअलाइजेशन, घर के बारे में उनकी सारी जानकारी शायद ऑनलाइन दे सकते हैं और ऑनलाइन ही बुकिंग पा सकते हैं। तो उसी टीम से आज हम मिलने जा रहे हैं जिनका नाम है PropVR। उस टीम के दोनों फाउंडर्स मिस्टर श्रीनाथ एंड सुंदर आज हमारे साथ हैं हमारे स्लीपलेस रेंजर्स के 5th एपिसोड पे। तो चलिए वेलकम करते हैं इनको।
So welcome to Sleepless Rangers, Srinath and Sunder. I'm so glad that you guys have come down, and I'm telling you in advance that I'm going to give you some tough times asking questions which you might be expecting, you might not be expecting. The only thing that I expect that you answer all the questions in as candid way and with all the honesty possible. Okay? So I will make sure that I'm not going to ask any serious questions which is going to be putting you into a spot. That is my responsibility, but just make sure that, because I've seen your journey and I really adore, and it's a huge inspiration from where I come from, seeing you guys grow from what PropVR started as to what it is doing today, and I know what it can do in the future. So I'm damn excited, so are the viewers. Now I'll get on to the first question that I have for you guys, and that's, how did it really start? What was the trigger point that you guys decided that this is what we want?
First of all, thanks Govind for having us here. So the journey was pretty fascinating and very much interesting, as everybody who wants to be in the startup space, they know the ups and downs and the entire journey that they would go through. But ours was very interesting, and every day in, day out, since we work on the tech side, into the technology and the platform side, so we always have that excitement to come to office every day and keep working on and solving problems, right? So it all started in 2015 and 16. So we as a company, me and Sunder came together, and then we started the company. But we wanted to solve a lot of problems in and around the VR, AR space and the mixed reality space. That's when the Oculus and HTCs and companies like them were coming into the play. So we always wanted to work on an experiential marketing space, so which creates a wow factor to a customer. So whether it is any industry for its matter, a person comes and looks at that marketing piece and he just says, yes, wow. Yeah. So when we started, we still remember our tagline used to be, wow your customers.
Wow.
So that was our prime target, and that's how we started the journey way back in 2015 and 16.
Lovely. So Srinath, you talked about the start that you guys have had. I have a different question. What part of this journey, was there any part where you really felt, this is not going to happen, we chose a wrong field? are we ever gonna make money? What was there any space where you really felt that what we're trying to do, it is maybe ahead of time, and market is not even prepared for it? What are we doing here? Was there a space, or what is a timeline of that sort? And tell us about that moment where you really realized it that guys, we have nailed it. Ab to phod diya hai, there's nobody who can stop it. If you could take us to these 2 points in the journey of PropVR.
Yeah, so we were 100% sure that we were ahead when the market was not ready
Yeah.
for what we are trying to build and what we are trying to bring to the world.
Yeah.
But later on we understood, yes, we are on the right track, and we know every problems that we are trying to solve will have a lot of time and its own piece of action. So we were waiting for the right moment to come.
Yeah.
Until that, yes, we were completely bootstrapping, and we were putting full effort into that and doing a lot of R&D and building the products. And in fact, you will not believe we have given our products to just test and trial run just for free,
Yeah.
for understanding and analyzing what we are building. Is it right way we are going, and is it the right product that we are reaching to the target audience?
Yeah.
So yes, post pandemic,
Yeah.
we felt that yes, we have nailed it.
Yeah.
So that's where it was a complete game changer, because the digitization that overall took place across all the industries,
Yeah.
made us feel that we are on the right track, and yes, we have nailed it. So way back,
Yeah.
when we went to all the different, let's say whether it is real estate industry or education or even automotive industry, every client to us have told, you guys are doing something really interesting. They think us like an Iron Man or some superhero who's coming from an Hollywood industry trying to create something really good. But still, they always have told us, boss, you guys are like 5 years, 10 years ahead. You guys are talking something, in India, sitting in India and talking about digital content and experiences. So since we have been always so conservative and traditional
Yeah.
in terms of, adapting things. So we were not the early adopters for all technologies at one point of time. But today the game is changing.
Change. Yeah.
Yes.
You guys are setting the new benchmarks for the others to follow.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So many examples. I think one key example, just to add to what we have done, right? So talking about the wow customer bit,
Yeah.
I remember a special presentation that we went. So we had all this like 16, 17 people in a conference room, and Srinath and I were like, how do we impress this crowd? So that time, I think someone was coming from the US, and there was a Mayo band, if you remember. So it's like a band that your muscle can essentially control presentations and all that.
Yeah.
So we kind of got that like a gimmick.
Yeah.
And see, that's not something that we sell, but
Yeah.
essentially just for the presentation,
Yeah.
we kind of went in the presentation, and the laptop was there, the entire management team was sitting, and we were like that. And the
Yeah.
slide changed, and everyone was like, what the hell did you do? So see, these kind of things is something that actually positions you as
True.
somewhere from where you come from, right? So
Absolutely.
essentially the goal is to kind of establish that context before you even start the meeting, that you're going to talk about something that's going to be exciting and it's going to be futuristic.
Absolutely. So you kept talking about the wow experiences that you were giving to your clients. The audience, for their sake, I wanted you to first explain a little more elaborate an example or in a format where even a 10th class standard guy can understand what is it that PropVR is doing today.
Yeah.
And what it started, how it started, what is it that you wanted to do and what you are doing today.
Sure. Perfect. So, classic question, right? So, when we started, essentially what we were doing is, I think most people understand what a 3D experience is, right? So, 3D content has been like the movies that we watch today, like from Pixar or from Disney.
Yeah.
The movies that we watch in 3D, these are basically the 3D content that is created.
Sure.
So there is multiple use cases of this industry. There's obviously entertainment, which is one of the biggest industries, but there are also some practical use cases in individual industries like creating digital twins, creating your designs in 3D. So architecture and engineering, where you create buildings in 3D for your planning and everything. So there are multiple use cases in the 3D industry, right? So this has been across the world for a long time. Essentially, when we started, we saw, like Srinath said, we saw the potential of what virtual reality and augmented reality could be, and we essentially plotted the curve that yes, this would be the next digital revolution.
True.
Because we saw the transitions from laptops to mobile phones and how this transition was disrupting a new age of companies and how companies were getting built. So our prediction was like, when this comes to the space when we call this entire space as spatial computing, because when you wear a glass like this, you are dealing with everything in 3D, right?
Absolutely.
So essentially we saw that 3D as an overall content space is going to be huge.
Absolutely.
So the goal is, if you can create technology that can allow creation of 3D in a faster way, in a better way, in a much more affordable way, you can disrupt a huge market.
Okay.
Right? So that was the beginning. And we saw most companies in this space were global, like Pixar, Disney. So all these companies are global. Like, there's not too many companies in India which do this. Even though they do it on a studio level. There's no innovation that has happened exponentially in this space. So our goal was to tackle these two problems. How to take a manpower intensive problem, which is like 3D, how can we make it more affordable using technology? And
without losing on the quality.
And second is, how do we put these experiences together in a format which creates the wow factor that we are essentially trying to deliver.
Super.
So plugging the 3D into the customer experience. So when we started, we kind of went horizontal, like Srinath said. We tried to tackle different industries to see where the product market fit is. So 3D in an automotive space. So how can we take a 3D of a car? Can we do it faster? Can we show it better? Can we collaborate over it? Then when it comes to education, we did some brilliant case studies. I think quite touching case studies when how can virtual reality affect mentally challenged or disability, and they can actually solve a lot of problems for them, create like virtual simulations for them. So there were a lot of case studies that we simulated in this area, had a lot of learnings. Then we went to real estate and we saw that yes, there is definitely a need here, because every real estate builder goes through this architecture and engineering as a process. And today, what we identified was most developers, especially in India, the 3D process that they use for their architecture, engineering and construction is quite traditional in this space, right? So it has been traditional for quite a long time. So we kind of chose real estate for two reasons. Mainly one, because there was an actual need in the market, because people actually were doing this for every single project. And second is, this space was very big. Like this was something that excited us to kind of go into it. So what PropVR essentially does is it helps developers create their 3D in a much more faster and a more efficient way. And once we create that 3D, we kind of put that into interactive elements that enables to take maximum ROI from it. That's essentially.
Okay, and could you just tell, if I'm a developer, I'm giving you a call, and what are the things that you would ask me, right, in terms of the files or the documentation? And today I have given you all the documents. I'm done understanding your financials. Now from there, how much is the turnaround time that I can expect that you will deliver me the result? All the developers who will be watching this content and can be a potential customer, right? For them, I just wanted to simplify it. And what's the process like?
Yeah. So we start anywhere from a sketch or a floor plan kind of model. Generally, finalized drawings is where we start from, a master plan or a unit plan drawing. So it could be in a format of DWG or anything that the architect has finalized.
Right.
Once we get that as inputs, and we have like a briefing call, which is the day zero call, where we understand their requirements, their design patterns, their presentations and everything, collect all that, put that together. So on a standard process, what we have today, we tell developers to, as a strategy, is to adopt 3D as a strategy rather than to just look at 3D as a marketing content. The way it works is, when we engage with a developer, we kind of take their master plan, convert their upcoming project into a complete 3D digital twin. So traditionally what was done before was, if you wanted to take a render, you only take a specific angle and you just create that. And after the project, if some other angle has to be rendered, you again have to charge the customer. So it was a very intensive process, because it was done manpower by manpower. In our process, what we try to do is, within a span of 30 to 45 days, we kind of convert their entire master plan into a fully built digital twin. And when I say fully built digital twin, You can literally go into any specific part of the project. You want to go into the interiors, you can go. You can amenities, you can go. So every single part of the project gets showcased in the best possible way.
Yeah.
Right? So essentially how we have done this is we call this as a staggered delivery process because we understand not every developer has the freedom today of 30 to 45 days.
Yeah.
So in the staggered delivery process, we essentially have different elements coming to you in 10 days, like unit plans, 20 days and some amenities. So there's some staggered delivery process that allows you to keep your marketing engagement activities constant. And once you create that, the main element today, our major proposition is that the ultimate thing that you kind of get into is a complete 3D interactive experience where you can like rotate, showcase the project in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And you can also use obviously the virtual reality headsets and the mixed reality headsets to connect them and go in 1:1 scale. So how we have built the platform is using a single content pipeline.
Yeah.
How can you maximize the value of the same 3D? Like use it for marketing and sales activities. Post the development, can you take it to the digital twin kind of activity? In the future, can you kind of build that into a metaverse and kind of create a digital community?
Wow. So one question typically every developer asks me, and I'm pretty sure this is a very common question for you as well. Kharcha kitna hoga, right? How much is it going to cost? I want to know from a perspective that what is the traditional process like, whatever it is, vis-a-vis what you guys are doing. Are you guys charging more? Are you guys charging lesser? How do I understand as a real estate developer that if I'm coming to you, am I going to save money or it is going to be a premium that I have to pay because I'm getting these many offerings on the table?
Valid question. I think
so. Definitely, a real estate developer would be saving a lot of money on table. So let me give you a use case. One of our developer back in Bangalore just came to us and they were telling that Srinath, I have already created the walkthrough of the project. I've already done a lot of renderings and marketing collaterals and everything are ready. So they have already spent close to around 10 lakhs. Today in the industry, 8 to 10 lakhs is something that a developer would easily spend on just creating content out of 3D, which is only two of them. One is a video and few of them are images. So JPEG image and a MP3, MP4 format video, they are marketing that in all digital platforms and even in banners, hoardings, posters, newspapers and everywhere with the images and renders. They spend that much of money on table. Now, any developer needs a VR or anything else apart from these two. The entire 3D model pipeline that they have built, that works only for video and MP3 and JPEG image creation. It's because it is all view perspective. So let's say a camera angle in a video just goes from the entry gate of a project. The camera just moves straight. Now, right side and left side and back side of the camera, there is no need of you to create a 3D at all. Right? So now, how we add more value and money on table for a developer here is, we create the 3D of the entire project, the digital twin of the project, like how Sunder said, nook and corner of every rooms, every inch is being created on that project. Now, in this latest pipeline technology that we have built, I can create multiple output elements. Like apart from the video, apart from the render, I can give them interactive applications where they can deploy them on a touch screen and they can interact with their hands, explain it to a customer. We create virtual reality output from this. You just have to get a VR headset or Oculus or Quest or something like that. You buy those headsets and then just wear them and you can immerse yourself and then see. Now, there is multiple outputs like this that we give on table, which is not actually possible by any company in India today, right? Because they are not following the current pipeline that is required to create a 3D content. So traditional pay, if the developer has to do all these elements and outputs, he would end up spending more than 20-30 lakhs.
Got it.
Right? So once the 3D is with us, as a company, I have built the prop tech side of it, the 3D content side of it. So we are able to deliver multiple elements as output for them.
So the goal is to kind of increase the value for the money that you're putting in, because today the value that you get out of the money that you're putting in is very less.
Absolutely.
So the goal is to showcase the value.
Super. So now from here, let me get to a important milestone of your careers and the journey of PropVR. So 2019 is when we interacted for the first time, and then over a bit of time, there's a news that came, which I'm pretty sure transformed your journey as well. And here I'm specifically talking about Square Yards. I have interacted with Tanuj in one of our previous episodes, and he was talking very highly about you guys. And I believe that if there's one vertical that he's really bullish about, all his current vertical, it's what you guys are on to. So my question to you is, in this journey of yours, joining hands with Square Yards and becoming a part of their journey as well, how did it transform your overall focus and the goal that you had in mind? Did it deviate from what you wanted to do? Did it add fuel to what you wanted to do, and now you're solid that you're going to reach to that target faster? And how did this really happen?
Interesting question. So I think at that point of time, it was just post-COVID era.
Yeah.
So COVID, obviously, like Srinath said, we saw like a literal boost in our sales. Like that was the time when we actually thought that we got a product market fit, because month on month we are growing at 30%. We are getting internal calls, like every developer is trying to kind of book us for their particular project, and that was an interesting period for us. And at the end of COVID period, I think we had a few offers from some investment groups as well. We were in very heavy discussions for some of these. And parallelly, there was always also this particular offer that came up from Square Yards. I think we were looking for a strategic partnership with some of these kind of companies, because I think one problem that we were trying to solve was the distribution strategy. Like Srinath and I both do not come from the real estate background. We come from a space where we can build tech, we can ship tech, we can talk tech, right?
Yeah.
So distribution was a critical problem that we were trying to solve. So more from an angle of strategic partnership is where we kind of approached them. I think Square Yards, one of the main reasons that got us excited was the channel and the kind of DNA the founders had.
Did you approach them or they approached you?
It was actually kind of mutual. So initially when I messaged them, like on LinkedIn, I had approached some of them and talked about what we kind of do.
Right.
And I think Vivek got quite interested in it, and he kind of reached out, and we kind of had a chat around it. And once we started discussing, I think at that point of time, it was also a right moment, because they were also looking to kind of go into the space of 3D and virtual technologies as a space. It was like a perfect meeting, right? So when we kind of spoke to Vivek, we had that feeling that you're speaking to like a fellow entrepreneur. The respect was mutual, and when we kind of spoke to across the board, we saw that these are like our kind of people. We could like literally work with them.
Sure.
We could build something much bigger than what we have today. I think for every founder, the dream is not to kind of make a lot of money, but to whatever he has made, can he reach a lot of people and actually create impact out of it, right? So that was our main agenda. At that point of time, our decision was like, Srinath, if we were to get $1 million on this business, we had a very deep discussion on this. If we were to get $1 million on this business, which we can, as funding, would we be able to reach the scale that we want to reach in a period of 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years? Right? What's the potential? And if we were to take the same decision of joining hands with Square Yards, where would we reach for 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years? Absolutely. The answer was very clear. Like what we could do with them as a team was much, much higher in terms of impact. And that is something that we are literally seeing today.
Right.
I think in retrospect, I think it was a really good decision.
So guys, you guys mentioned that, the Square Yards offer came and you were happy and you saw the impact. But let me take you through that night when Square Yards offer came and you guys had that deep discussion. Typically, from where I look at it, any entrepreneur who's watching this would love to know what was the conflict, what was the conversation about. Because on one side, you're not in a phase where you're totally getting started. You do not know where you're heading. In this case, COVID was there. You knew you're onto something big. And there's a belief system that we can make it on our own. Vis-a-vis here, Square Yards is offering something which is looking good. But then you're not too sure how these guys are going to be, what they're talking. and when they marry you, how are they going to be? So it is a conflict from where I look at it. So I want you to take a deep breath, go back to that night, really think what was the jitteriness about, and then what really transpired to make you feel that let's do it.
I think obviously there was a lot of debate.
Yeah.
From both sides. We had a constructive argument, right? So every time we kind of come through these kind of decisions, we kind of look at both sides of the picture. Like if we were to do this, let's simulate it.
Yeah.
Right. So we simulated both the scenarios, and especially in the case where we could do this on our own, because at that time we were growing quite fast,
Yeah.
right? So, but like I said, right, the goal was to kind of look at the impact that you can reach in the timeline that we are looking at,
Yeah.
right? So, essentially, we knew that if we had to build something really significant,
Yeah.
like level of a Pixar kind of company, it's a journey of its own,
Yeah.
right? And with kind of Square Yards, the penetration that we are trying to do, especially in the real estate space,
Yeah.
Square Yards has already got a big lead in it.
Yes.
So the major decision point was from the impact side. Yes, there were questions like, if we were to do this on our own, it'll take more time,
Yeah.
but we would reach there, but the struggles would be much harder, right? The major factor actually came in when we spoke to the founders, right? So one thing that we saw was how Square Yards was structured as a company, right? So especially the biggest doubt comes when you're trying to join or go through this kind of a process, right? Acquisition kind of process. The question to you is, do you become an employee? Because you can
Absolutely.
never become an employee once you are an entrepreneur, right? You always have that DNA in you.
Yeah.
So the goal was to look at whether the founders actually have kept that DNA part of the culture,
Right.
and whether they maintain that. So I think when we researched a lot and when we spoke to fellow entrepreneurs who had previously got acquired, we spoke to them, we kind of saw that how Square Yards was built itself was like a group of entrepreneurs like coming together and joining and becoming like a bigger pie together, right? So
Right.
the founder DNA was well maintained. It was mutually respected. The respect that we found in that early calls itself was a very good trigger for us to kind of take that leap of faith.
Love it.
There was some validation from the fellow entrepreneurs who had done that before and gone through the system. So a lot of multiple decisions. So that made us comfortable to make this jump. I think on the other side, when we look at things of how fast we could run versus how fast we could go with them, this was seeming better, right? So,
Lovely. So I'm glad it all panned out pretty well, and I have seen this for myself, and I've seen their banter with you as well. So definitely, this is a new learning for me. Typically, as an entrepreneur, we always shy away from making these kind of conversations and these calls, right? And it takes a lot of courage to take that leap of faith, which you guys did. So kudos to both of you for that context. Now I'm going to switch to a little more technical side of our narrative, because if I'm having PropVR co-founders with me and I'm not getting into technicalities, then there's something wrong with me, right? So let me ask you a very simple question. You have to look into the camera and give a very simple explanation of what is Metaverse.
okay, so this is going to be hard because this is a term which has been like badly abused in the
Fair.
everyone has their own definitions and no one is wrong. That's the exciting part, right? So this is metaverse is essentially a term which is getting defined every single day,
Right.
and no definition can be wrong.
Yeah.
So to just simply say what metaverse is essentially like a future of the web or internet version that we are going towards,
Yeah.
where you're combining different kinds of technology.
Yeah.
And one core technology is out of which is the most exciting part, is the spatial computing.
Got it.
So when I talk about spatial computing, it's essentially like the one which I said before. It's when we see all our digital interfaces today, the mobile phones, the laptops, everything is in 2D. We are looking at a piece of 2D structure and we see the elements inside it, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to spatial, because our world is spatial,
Yeah.
when we see around objects around us, everything is 3D.
Yeah.
The question is, why not the digital content, right?
True that.
So metaverse is essentially this bringing of spatial web together and bringing a lot of digital content around us in a format where you can switch between this digital content seamlessly.
Yeah.
So you can now exist in a world where these digital content can be part of your real world.
Yeah.
And you can switch between these worlds without having to kind of take phones, take devices. Everything happens seamlessly.
Lovely.
Right? So
that's a pretty good explanation that you gave. Now I'm going to ask you something that I was curious about. I've seen you guys operating into the space, which was virtual staging of the walkthroughs and the interiors and the real estate offerings of the real estate developers, which was being done on an interactive platform. Now, when I look at your timelines, I saw there's something that was launched in Dubai. We had an event in Mumbai. What was that about? What is it that you guys were announcing there? What is it that you guys are making that you wanted to introduce to the world? And how are you leveraging Metaverse to drive your growth?
So like I said, right, so when we started, our goal was to make 3D process easy. So way we did that was we did not do the traditional part of 3D, but we were like, how can we make 3D using software?
Okay.
So if you look at our team, we don't have a traditional studio setup where you would see a lot of 3D people sitting together, but you see a blend of software along with 3D. So we have AI engineers, software people, and 3D people integrating the tech to make it faster.
Okay.
Right? So when we look at the bigger picture, how, like I was talking about how PropVR is now more like an AI company, and how we have gone through the process of filing these 16 international patents that we have done and going towards the path of close to around 10 or 15 more in the couple of years that we are going ahead.
Wow.
The goal was to kind of see how we can build larger structures much faster. So when we started in 2016, the first problem that we solved is, can we create an interior unit plan in the fastest way possible,
Yes.
right? If you
I've seen
remember,
that. Yeah,
it was like just focused on one specific unit plan.
Got it.
And how fast can you get that? From unit plan, we kind of went to the floor plan level. From floor plan level, we went to the building level. And from building level, we questioned ourselves over the last year, because now with square yards, we were like, why not just think bigger?
Got it.
Now, if we have done the building level, can we do a city level?
Yeah.
And actually make spatial computing, that the entire concept of Metaverse, right? Can you immerse customers into a world where real estate can be searched in a format where you can literally walk into a virtual street of Dubai?
Yeah.
And when you're walking in that street, you feel like you're actually walking in the real street.
Yeah.
And when you're seeing the buildings, you can actually see what buildings are available, what listings are available, whether it's sale or for rent. And from the entire discovery process today is broken, right?
True that.
So that is exactly what we are trying to tackle now.
Yeah.
Because now that we have this base of how 3D can be built faster.
Yeah.
So the entire Dubai, actually it was one of the record that we set for ourselves. We when we started the project, literally
We never thought.
that we could complete the project within the span that we were planning. But
But I have seen the glimpses of it, whatever that was made available on the internet. And let me tell you, after looking at it, I was like, damn, this is it, right? Who wouldn't want to engage with this kind of an experience where typically in India, it's been like 15 to 17 years when we have been going to 99 acres, Magic Bricks, them operating like a classified platform. Then I'm seeing this, which is a very drastic change, and it is giving me such an immersive experience. And I would really want to know that, okay, where exactly my home is, what is the location like, what is it that's there in and around, and then of course going inside and tracking what kind of specifications do I have, how the overall home planning has been done, or how the project has really shaped up. I'm pretty excited to tell you, and I don't see a reason why, with 5G coming in, everything falling in place, I'm pretty sure people are not going to go back to those experiences. Maybe it is about a year or a 2 or a 3 max, but they would want to experience everything in what you guys have done for Dubai. My question is, when are you bringing that for India?
Yeah.
I could see that, oh, this is my home, this is my location, wow. So why not India? And why not why is it that you didn't start from India?
100%. Very good question. So when we actually began this project, we had the entire world in the network, right?
Yeah.
So we were like, where should we start?
Yeah.
India was definitely a potential market because, see, here this is a classic case where a true integration of PropVR and SquareYards actually happened.
Yeah.
Because here you're not just looking at what PropVR brings into the table.
Right.
The entire data you see on the product is coming from SquareYards
SquareYards.
and the experience from SquareYards, right? So
Right.
the entire classifieds data, the entire history transactions, everything comes from SquareYards.
Love it.
So this is a classic integration of multiple areas of SquareYards itself, verticals of SquareYards coming together and building a product of its own.
Right.
And talking about the question of decision making, whether Dubai or India, one obvious example was we wanted to go with the early adopter in this case. And Dubai, if you look at how Dubai has been growing and how bullish it has been towards the metaverse as a global strategy, we wanted to position in that market. But India also is on our roadmap.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is a big dream of ours. If we are able to achieve, and we would be able to achieve the direction that we are going, we should be able to achieve in this coming year or next year very soon to launch this as a platform.
No, absolutely. And I do get it. When I was interacting with Tanuj, I did mention this part that, as a strategy to start with Dubai, early adopters one, but at the same time, as a location, most of the people who are investing in Dubai are not from Dubai, right? They're from other places. For them to travel and to get their proposition is going to be difficult. In India, when you do it, most of the sale happens very happy local, right? So that way, of course, that was something. When I realized that they have actually nailed not just the product but the market as well. So everything is just fitting to the T, and they are not making any mistakes. So I'm very proud and glad that you guys have created.
India Pay, I think few more cities are almost ready.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
the time is like very short. So
And which is that city which is coming first? Let me break it for everyone.
There's Gurgaon, Mumbai, and Bangalore, which we are planning.
Wow, okay.
And there's a massive portion that we have already got in path that we are kind of integrating. So data has always been there, right? So it's about assembling the data in the right format. So here is where a lot of the patented technologies that I'm talking about come into play, right? How can we create that 3D that we are talking about from these different data perspectives in a way that actually stands out?
Super. So my question is exactly on what you spoke. The two words that you used. आपने use किया एक word which is called AI, and then there was patents, right? और मैंने जो सुना that you talked about 16 patents that you guys have done. So let me ask one question on each topic. So every company or every sector has a use case for AI. I wanted to understand a little more deep that when you are saying that you are making special, spaces. First, we started with just the basic floor plans. Where exactly AI is being utilized, how it is being utilized, and it is leading to what?
Yeah. So very good question. So like I said, making 3D is a manpower intensive job. There's a lot of specific kind of efforts that you have to take for every single floor plan.
Right.
So just taking the classic example of a unit plan, right?
Yeah.
So in a unit plan, what are the decisions you're making? So you have the boundary of a unit plan.
Yeah.
So first thing that if you had to convert to 3D, you have to draw the boundary like a sketch out and then extrude it and make it a 3D, right?
Okay.
So if you have to just break down this process through an AI lens.
Yeah.
So AI is nothing but an automated software, right?
Yeah.
So imagine you have written a code. So the software now has to take a picture of this particular floor plan or unit plan that you have sent. It has to recognize its boundaries and it has to draw that.
Got it.
So you're just replacing what a person would do using AI, but at the same time, this is a manpower efficiency driving process rather than a manpower replacement driving process. So a same manpower who took before 4 hours to do that particular job now takes 5 minutes to do that particular job. So the scale that you are able to reach is much faster through this technology.
So this is the largest debate which is going on, of course, after ChatGPT, coming in. But the byline everybody is talking about is it is not AI which is going to take away the jobs. It is the people who are able to leverage AI are the one who's going to replace people who are not leveraging it. So, and that I learned something new here in terms of what is the real application that you are having for AI. And this is something that I kind of knew, but I didn't know much in detail. I'm glad that you explained it the way you did. Now, the other word that I got hold of was patent, right? Patents. Can you make it a little simpler or give an example? If you have 16 patents, choose one and explain me what has gone into that patent, on what, how did you do it, and what is it about, and what it is securing you from.
Yeah. So I think the overall strategy, like I was saying, from day one, how we have positioned and how we have discussed with Square Yards is that this is a global company. It's not a company that is just for India. It's for something that's built in India, for India, and also building for the world, right?
Sure.
So we truly see ourselves as a global leader in this particular space, and we can work with some international clients, and we have worked with a lot of international clients. So patents, actually, what is patents, right? So patents essentially help you secure rights over some of these technologies on how this is done and where it can be done, right? So most of these patents, US is actually very bullish about patents.
Yeah.
Most of the countries do not have too many laws, but US is one of the biggest player in this. So we definitely have some space and a roadmap towards entering the North American markets.
Yeah.
And that's where the entire concept, like when we have worked on this kind of a tech, and it is unique in so many other ways, there's definitely a sense to kind of file those patents in the first place, to kind of have a strategy around patents.
Yeah.
So when we kind of work on these technologies, so these technologies, like I said, real estate is just one use case, one vertical that uses this technology. There are so many other industries which have the similar kind of use case and can use the process or can use the technology that we have developed.
Okay.
There's obviously multiple roadmaps that we can come and foray into the future, which can allow us to take some of these patents, like the example that I said about a 2D floor plan. That's a classic example, right?
Yeah.
So one of our patents covers on how we actually break down this particular process and how we kind of convert that into the interactive virtual tour that we actually deliver to the clients, right?
Wow.
So a standard timeline may be looking like a week for a process. Can we do it in a matter of 3 hours?
Got it.
That's essentially the goal.
Wow. You also mentioned that you are a global company, and at least that is the ambition, right? Would you mind telling us who are your competitors currently then, from India or from global markets? Who do you believe that it's on to doing something similar? So let's say that we track an Open Door, we track a Zillow from the Western market. Are they developing something on the similar lines for their markets, or are they going to eventually join hands with you for delivering the similar results for their markets? What do you think is the future? Are you really facing any competition in this space currently? And if yes, where is it coming from?
Yeah. So a very classic question, because the metaverse, like I said, it's a growing term. It's something like metaverse is not just metaverse, right? You also have to connect the digital twins, the 3D part of it. So today, a lot of companies are coming into this space, but this space is still very niche.
Yeah.
Like the talent in this space needs to be having a specific set of skills to kind of reach to the level that most of, like I said, it's a combination of 3D, software, AI. There's multiple verticals here. So it is definitely a niche vertical. The company that we kind of see as one of the biggest players is from China. A company called 51 World, which is doing massive, like it has digitized the entire China, like what we are attempting to do for Dubai.
51 World.
51 World. So essentially, they have done a complete digital twin of China. And like I said, real estate is just one use case.
Okay.
You can also use for your city planning, you can use for transportation network planning, this pipeline planning, your traffic management, there's tons of city applications that you can deploy. Every government department has a use case. So if you had heard the recent news, Singapore, Seoul have joined, and these guys have launched their own metaverse, which is like you can literally have a digital community. So you can engage in that community, government events are happening in that community, and just taking up, once you have created this digital community, taking up the other technologies in the metaverse, which is like the blockchain, the NFTs and the DAOs, you can create a future system which is more independent and a more private kind of networks in this.
Wow. So, do you believe that PropVR will ever get into a space or with Square Yards where we will see the virtual RE assets being sold as NFTs? Is that the market you believe that's going to flourish? And if it does, are you going to be part of that kind of a possibility? Is it there in your roadmap?
Again, so in terms of the entire NFT as a technology, right? So a lot of people have aversion against this recently because of the speculation with the FTX.
Yeah, I carry a lot of.
I know there's a lot of speculation around it.
Yeah.
How we have seen our technology is taking all the crap that comes on top of it, remove all that, and see the underlying technology. If you look at what an underlying technology of an NFT or this blockchain is, it's a very meaningful technology of what this could mean, right? So essentially, what we are saying is that you are putting up content where people who are creating content can actually earn money. So today you are not part of the content. Like Facebook uses your data to make money. Facebook as a company earns money. But what do you get at the end of the day? So now with NFTs and all that, the power is that the power actually comes into the hand of people who actually created it. So when we look at any specific technology, we don't hold bias against it. We kind of give it the fair chance that it needs. Talking about our roadmap towards NFTs and virtual land, we do not have right now anything on the virtual land aspect. We still see that as a kind of speculative market because essentially what we want to do at the end of the day is to give value. So today we are not, it's quite early to be frank. We would get to a stage where this would make sense, but today we are quite early for the virtual land market. NFTs, yes, there are a lot of use cases, there are a lot of strategies on how we could position this and build this in the metaverse that we are building. But virtual land is something that comes only in the future.
So I have one last question on the technical side of it. While doing this journey, any technology player has to collaborate with a lot of other technologies which are existing or they are trying to do something in a similar space. Would you mind telling us the set of collaborations that you have had into this journey to make sure that you guys are on to delivering these things in much more efficient manner instead of building it on your own? You felt that if we take this part from this particular existing startup or their product, it will help us speed fast to our vision. So, are there any such collaborations that you have done to make sure that you guys are on to delivering whatever that you guys are?
100%. I think what we both have always believed is every innovation has to be built on someone else's work, right? So it always just builds up as a collaboration activity. It's never a single person innovation, right? So in this case also, because this was a much larger project, the collaboration not just happened internally, which is the PropVR with the multiple verticals of.
In our previous episode with Tanuj, I think we have gone in very detail about how the collaboration
Externally, I think one of the biggest partners that we kind of signed up with was Cesium in this case, where we Cesium essentially, for people who do not know, it's basically a company that maps the entire geospatial of the world. And we were quite interested. We tried out different technologies that do that. And we were quite excited by what Cesium had to offer.
Would you elaborate a little better the geospatial of the whole world, please?
So essentially, you take Google Maps, right? So Google Maps is nothing but the entire Earth ka maps ka pura data. That is what they have. Cesium has a similar kind of map, but what it essentially does is not just on the globe that you get, but it also has some elements of base layer map. So matlab, where exactly the building is. So if I have to position a specific building, it knows that there's this particular building, because you can't get all the data by yourself, and you won't do that. It does not make sense. You need satellites and all that, right? So, so some of this data points is something that we took from these layers. There were some data points that we took from Square's data layers. Put all this together. It's a classic recipe, right? So it's like you're making a dish. You're taking different items and putting together to kind of get the end result of where we are today.
Super, lovely. Thanks a lot for being so candid. I hope so far you guys have enjoyed the engagement as well as I have, because a lot of questions I've had, and I'm glad that you guys are answering with full guts, so full honesty, and I appreciate it. I'm going to come to a very important question of this whole series, right? This is my favorite. And why? Because I believe this is the purpose for which we have started this series. You have to name two startups. You can talk about more, but minimum two startups who are operating into PropTech domain. They are operating in India and they are not part of Square as yet, right? So tell me two such startups which jointly you guys can code. And if you do not mind, why?
I think my personal favorite was Snaptroot. I think we have been working with them.
The whole Square is in love with Snaptroot. For all the guys, Altaf, if you're listening, I would love to have you here very soon. I believe I'm missed out reaching out to you. I will. And the kind of demand that you've got for with the Square guys is amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the personal reasons for that is me. So
Yeah.
Altaf and I actually share a similar journey, like how we both connected.
Yeah.
So Altaf and I know each other for quite a long time, and we were a similar kind of industry because both were going towards architecture and construction, but solving a little bit different problems.
Yeah.
I think what excites me of where Snaptroot has been going is how the Figma essentially disrupted the entire UI UX design world. We see that there's actually a potential Indian company that can actually disrupt the space in the architecture's visualization space, where it has been generally dominated by the US players for quite some time.
Sure.
So that's been mine.
So,
Srinath.
being in the 3D industry, I would definitely go for Snaptroot.
You
Yes,
cannot go for the same one.
I know. Just because Sundar has already mentioned that, yes, I wanted to quote someone in PropTech who's into a complete different segment, who's trying to, make a better environment for us altogether. So I would say we got. Right?
We got.
So yeah, so we got
Abhilash.
is Abhilash. So they are into
I also love you, man.
so they save a lot of water, which is very much essential for people. And they the main thing that I like a lot about them is they educate using these IoT devices to every individual human on the earth that guys, you have to save this and it's the right time. And you can do it. It's not something that it's very tough to do. But it's all habit that has to change. With his innovation and that hardwares that they are installing at our place would eventually make us a guy who is so environment friendly and then making more sustainable environment.
No, very, very important problem to kind of solve in the current century. Water is one of the biggest problems. I think, and Abhilash is doing brilliant work on it.
But I still remember days when Sundar used to when we were in Bangalore, where there was a lot of issue in this Kaveri and Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. He used to say, "Arey, the world is full of water, man." Just try to convert the salt water to a drinking water. So that's how that's all way back. Yes, we were very young that time. So that's how we used to debate a lot. But after seeing startups like this in the space, we really feel that they are must to have PropTech companies.
So all the viewers, let me tell you that I'm gonna talk to Altaf from Snaptroot to make sure that he joins in, and Abhilash from WeGot has confirmed to join in. So I'm definitely gonna look forward to what he's up to, because that will be my first interaction with him in physical as well. So totally looking forward to my future episodes with him. While you guys were talking, I stumbled upon one more very important question. How is it that you guys met? I've never asked this. So,
we are like, we know each other for more than 15-20 years now. So I think we actually grew up playing box cricket on
Delhi cricket.
So we had like my friend, who is a very, very good friend, his brother is Srinath. So Srinath used to kind of come during the vacations to Coimbatore, and we used to have a lot of games together, party together, and all that. So I think we both struck as someone who actually, whenever we go to these discussions or parties, we kind of, whenever we come inside, we just talk technology. We're like, oh, this is happening, that is happening, and this cool stuff came up. And we both were inspired from it. And entrepreneurship was something that we were looking at some point in time to kind of go in. And I think our first 2 years when I went for like a job, I think at some point it kicked in like, if I don't do it this now, it'll be too late always, right?
So how did you guys choose each other, right? That okay, we're gonna do it together. How did that happen?
Again, a party, man. Just I think
No, but generally, we know each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so according to me, Sundar has always been the first bench student, the top rank guy.
Got it.
So who will understand the more and get into depth and detailing.
Yeah.
I'm a guy who was the last bench guy,
Yeah.
who always wanted to experience things
Yeah.
personally and then learn from it. He reads a lot, I fall a lot. Right, we both merged together and we understood. So the theories that are written in the book and the practical experiences that we had,
Yeah.
I think we always discuss about both and we debate a lot, we fight a lot,
So-
being so good friends. So that has given us that, relationship to, blindly trust each other and, get
That's
this
what's
started.
needed. Yeah.
Yes. And it has never been a disappointment for us. We have always been, so happy in terms of this marriage that happened between me and Sundar, that we co-found this entire vertical and we are very happy for that.
Super. Lovely. Yeah. So I'm going to come to my next signature question, and that will be the last question also for our conversation, which I've really enjoyed. I've learned a lot. The technicalities are something that I'm really enjoying of late out of these conversations to know, because I've always done this branding, marketing, digital technology from the market perspective, but this is a purely new facet for me as well. My next signature question is something that I'm asking everybody who's joining us as guests to recite us a narrative where the question is very simple. What if PropVR is a human being? Okay, is a single human being. Can you please take us through his day from morning to the evening or the night while he is at it building PropVR towards the vision where it has to reach? What that individual's day is going to be all about?
very, very interesting questions, I think.
Yeah.
Then
So I've got a very extreme reaction.
Yes.
People are like shying away to not answer,
Okay.
and people are giving
Okay.
it and in a very detailed manner. The idea is very simple. We want everybody to get an idea of what it really takes to build what you guys are building, right? So we have understood what is the final outcome, which is there, visible there. But what is happening in the back end, number of operations which are involved. I would want you to summarize it so that we all get to know what it takes to build PropVR.
I think first of all, it starts from a journey of ourselves also,
Yeah.
right? So just to relate, if PropVR were like a human, first of all, we feel grateful
Yeah.
to what we have done till now, what we have achieved, and where we are going towards. The main thing that we do in every single day is catching up to the world trends, right? Because this is an evolving space. Every single day,
Yeah.
technology is evolving in this space, and we kind of keep ourselves very up to date about
Yeah.
what's happening in this space and how we can improve better.
Yeah.
Right. So, talking about the vision is quite important. As a human, we ensure that we kind of talk to people around us, educate people around us
Yeah.
on what's coming, how is AI getting impacted in this, how AI is impacting people, how Metaverse is essentially transforming spaces. So it goes around educating people in our industry itself and also beyond our industry to kind of understand what they think about it, how they would consume this as consumers.
Yeah.
Then coming back to kind of integration with Square Yards, kind of doing like an inward knowledge kind of transfer around how this could kind of integrate and create synergies internally within the processes, how we can make things better.
Yeah.
So I think as a proper human, right? So one of the core things that the ideologies
Yeah.
of this particular human would be like, leave anything better than it was found to be, right? So any specific thing that you kind of take.
Yeah.
So we, as founders, we love problems,
Yeah.
and I think PropVR would also love problems in anything that comes in the 3D industry.
Yeah.
And the vision that we are going towards is to be the best. Like anything less than the best, we don't kind of. We are
Wow.
very competitive that way.
Lovely, yeah. Superb. And I'm so happy seeing the growth, the confidence, right, which is being showcased right now, and I can feel it, right? And most importantly, that feeling where you know that, boss, we're on to something very big where we are already ahead of the curve. It's a very different feeling, and I wish you all the best. Keep pushing the boundaries there, keep inspiring, and I'm gonna be one of the largest cheerleader for PropVR team. and I'm pretty solid looking at your journey that it's bound to do something really very amazing, and I'm looking forward to the metaverse that you've created for Dubai, how it transforms specifically for Bombay, and how we can leverage it as since we operate with a lot of real estate developers, how we looking into as many synergies possible there. So for all the viewers, I hope you enjoyed our last 50 minutes, 1 hour conversation. Make sure if you have any questions for them, you put it out into the comment section. I'll make sure that I reply to all these queries after asking those questions from them. But we are not going to leave a single comment unanswered. That's a promise. So with that, thanks a ton, guys, for joining in. I hope you guys have had a fair day. The idea is that we're documenting most of the journeys so that when you become big, when people come back, we will work out on our SEOs in a better manner so that these videos keep showing up and people get to know that how it really started. And thanks a lot once again. Any last words from your end?
Thanks a lot, Govind, for having us here. As usual, I think we also have a shared relationship before even all this happened. So great to be here. Great to understand your journey also. Thanks a lot for us.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Govind. So I also wanted to give a short note that giving back to the community is something that as founders we have to take that step. And your initiative on creating something like this is very very good. And way back when we all started, we didn't have so much of platforms or podcasting and things like that. But yes, you are doing the right thing. You invite more PropTech, founders into this and make the people understand the journey and the entire flow and things like that. I'm very happy to be part of this.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for all these cheerful words. Trust me, I'm pretty sure, as I said in my teaser, that next decade belongs to PropTech. And if anything is falling short, we will make sure that it gets there. And I'm really looking forward to these engagements because there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn. And I hope all our viewers are doing the same. Keep learning. We will meet you next Wednesday with the promise of meeting one new entrepreneur every Wednesday. Thanks a lot. See you guys.
Thanks a lot.
Next
See you.
week.
Bye.
See
Thank
you.
you guys.